अध्यक्ष महोदय।
Member to take oath or affirmation. Secretary General, please.
Sri Shivaji, who stands elected from Malkajgiri constituency of Telangana, will now take oath of formation. Sri Shivaji. Sir, do you want to take oath of formation? In which language would you like to take oath?
I, Shivaji, having been elected as a member of the lower house of Youth Parliament, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter.
Member to take oath or affirmation. Secretary General, please.
Srimati Ananya, who stands elected from Kurnool constituency of Andhra Pradesh, will now take oath of formation. Srimati Ananya. Madam, do you want to take oath of formation? In which language would you like to take oath?
అనన్య అను నేను లోక్సభ సభ్యురాలిగా ఎన్నికైన దాననై శాసనము ద్వారా స్థాపితమైన భారత రాజ్యాంగము పట్ల యథార్థమైన శ్రద్ధ నిష్టలను కలిగి ఉండుననియు భారతదేశం యొక్క సార్వభౌమతను మరియు సమగ్రతను సమర్థింతుననియు మరియు నేను చేపట్టనున్న కర్తవ్యమును శ్రద్ధాపూర్వకముగా నిర్వహించుననియు దైవసాక్షిగా ప్రమాణం చేయుచున్నాను. As we meet today, it is my sad duty to inform the House the sudden demise of our former colleague Shri Pratap Anandrao Shinde, who hailed from Mumbai South. Shri Pratap Anandrao Shinde was a teacher by profession and an active social worker. He worked at the rural areas of Thane district, Maharashtra, devoting his time and energy to the welfare of the masses. He worked for the upliftment of the backward classes and downtrodden through the medium of education. He set up many educational institutions in Maharashtra and strived hard to impart primary and secondary education at rural areas at free of cost. He also worked as a literary society president, Maharashtra. He was a great orator and an able parliamentarian who always took interest in the proceedings of the House. He passed away at 30th of June 2025 at the age of 70.
Honorable Speaker Madam, I rise to pay my tributes to Shri Pratap Rao Shinde, whose death has been deeply mourned by all. He hailed from a family of freedom fighters and lived a life upholding the ideals of late Mahatma Gandhi. He represented our country in United Nations project on education recently. I feel a personal loss with his sudden death and extend my deep condolences to his bereaved family.
I associate myself with the tributes paid by you and the leader of the house. I had the privilege to work with Sri Pratap Anandrao Shinde as a colleague. He was always a cheerful person. With his death, we have lost a very good teacher and a leader who believed in the downtrodden through education. My party joins me in sending our condolences to the bereaved family members of Sri Pratap Anandrao Shinde.
The house may stand in silence for a while to express its deep sorrow. Secretary General may convey the message of condolences to the bereaved family.
Yes, ma'am.
Prime Minister to introduce the new ministers.
नया उमंग, नई शक्ति भारत को आगे लेने के लिए प्रमुख भूमिका निभाती है। इस संदर्भ में मैं अपने दोनों नए मंत्रियों के परिचय सदन को कराता हूँ। Honorable Speaker Madam, I have pleasure in introducing to you, through you, to the House, my colleagues, the new ministers. Hinduja, Minister for Science and Technology. Trishul, Minister for Rural Development.
Now, the question hour starts. Question number 201. Pavan.
Madam. A. Why did India initiate Operation Sindoor? B. Is it not the failure of military intelligence to intercept the signals to avoid attacks? C. How far Operation Sindoor is successful?
Honorable Minister for Defence, please.
Sleeping is good for health, but more sleep will spoil the health. I bid you. The whole world is known about Operation Sindoor, but I think the opposition member is not aware of it. Honorable Speaker, Madam. A. Operation Sindoor was initiated to counter the attack of terrorists in Pahalgam and weed out the terrorists in Kashmir Valley and also in Pak-occupied Kashmir. B. No, it is not the failure of the military intelligence. From the long back, Pakistan uses the strategy of proxy war by encouraging the terrorist activities in Pak-occupied Kashmir Valley after the repeated failures in 1971 war and Kargil war to some extent. Even these organizations are not under the control of ISI of Pakistan, which is the main hand behind this attack with a view to destabilize India. C. As far as the Operation Sindoor is concerned, we were able to gun down many missiles with our S-400 Akash missile system. To remind my friends in the opposition, the US government has commented that this attack has done by global terrorist organization which is controlled by Pakistan. In the international fund, we got support of 190 members out of 193 members. This means the entire international community is with us on this occasion. For security reasons, we cannot disclose the number of flights gunned down by our Air Force and the loss that we incurred in this regard.
Question number 202. Praniti.
Honorable Madam, the Minister for Commerce may be pleased to state A. What is the impact of increasing tariffs by US on Indian economy? B. How it is going to affect our industries, especially electronics and automobile sector and pharmaceutical sector? C. What are the effects initiated by us through dialogue and talk to bring back the normalcy in the trade with US?
Minister for Commerce, please.
ऑनरेबल स्पीकर मैडम, जब हम खुद सक्षम हो तो क्यों दूसरों के ऊपर निर्भर होना है? We are stepping forward in that direction only. Honorable Speaker Madam, A. The steps initiated by USA is aimed at correcting the trade imbalances and geopolitical concerns because of India's continued purchase of Russia's oil. Tariffs are expected to affect approximately $8.1 billion worth of Indian exports to USA. B. We may face a loss of $1.8 billion in electronics and $0.5 to $3 billion in automobiles. But in pharmaceuticals, we have no immediate impact at present. C. Coming back to the dialogue, as I told you in the beginning, it is the core issue of America's foreign policies. At one point of time, as America, for Americans, policy of isolation and exit from the League of Nations and not supporting India in 1950s and 1960s. But still, we were able to overcome the food crisis in 1960s by making America to introduce Public Law 480 to supply food grains to India. Still, we are making all out efforts to convince Trump's administration India's role in global world and as a leader of third world countries which cannot be ignored.
Question number 203, Prithviraj.
Honorable Speaker, Minister for Civil Aviation, be pleased to state A. What are the reasons for the recent Ahmedabad flight accident? B. Why are enough precautions are not taken against certain companies like Boeing when their flights are met with accidents in recent times in different countries? C. What are our future plans for the safety of the passengers?
Minister for Civil Aviation, please.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मेरी मित्र बचपन में साइकिल से गिर गया था, अभी कार चलाता है, तो एक दुर्घटना से पूरी व्यवस्था को बदनाम नहीं करना। Honorable Speaker, ma'am, I would like to explain the reason behind the flight accident of Ahmedabad as found by DGCA as follows. A. Immediately after takeoff, fuel control switch to the engine was disengaged as it was found. B. Enough precautions were taken. Fuel control switch was checked and replaced in 2019 and also in 2023 in the case of said Boeing flight as a part of regular maintenance. C. We ensure safety protocols, strengthen the safety procedure with a special team of aerospace engineers from every company of every flight before it takes off.
Question number 204, Manaswini. Question number 204, Manaswini.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, the government is spending crores of rupees on Navodaya Vidyalayas. In this connection, will the Minister for Education be pleased to state A. How far Navodaya Vidyalayas have achieved their objectives? B. Do you have any proposal to set up new Navodaya Vidyalayas?
Minister for Education, please.
Honorable Madam, Navodaya Vidyalayas are set up to impart quality education to the rural talented children. As far as results are concerned, NVS is leading the results table of CBSE board examinations of classes 10th and 12th. Recent review on Navodaya reports that 20 to 30 children who studied from Navodaya Vidyalayas are selected for civil services every year. Many students are joining IITs, IIMs and other leading educational institutions. B. The 28 new Navodaya Vidyalayas to be set up under the Navodaya Vidyalaya scheme of the government would involve a total expenditure of 2,359.82 crore over a period of 5 years from 2025-26 to 2028-29. This includes capital expenditure of 1,944.19 crore and operational expenditure of 415.83 crores.
Supplementary question, Dhanush.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, how many Navodaya Vidyalayas were sanctioned for Telangana state?
Minister for Education, please.
Honorable Madam, at present 7 new Navodaya Vidyalayas had been sanctioned in Telangana. They are Jagityala, Nizamabad, Bhadradri Kottagudem, Medchal Malkajgiri, Mehboob Nagar, Sangareddy and Suryapet.
Supplementary question, Vinay.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं आरोप लगाता हूं कि इस योजना का सही रूप से प्रयोग नहीं किया जा रहा है। नवोदय विद्यालय समिति में काम करने वाले कर्मचारियों के लिए, उनके परिवार के लिए क्या कदम उठाए गए? क्या नवोदय विद्यालय समिति में भी केंद्र विद्यालय संगठन की तरह सीसेस पेंशन योजना 1972 है? क्या सेवानिवृत्ति पेंशन तथा स्वास्थ्य योजना को व्यवहार में लाया जा रहा है।
Minister for Education, please. Madam, our opposition member always demands to know the facts. But whenever we say the facts, they bring binoculars to look for the more doubts. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Madam, NVS employees are also governed by central government rules and enjoy many benefits at par with central government employees. As to the CCS pension 1972, the government withdrew it in 2004. It has extended the new pension to the employees who joined the service after 2004. With regard to the employees who joined the service before 2004, the Department of Finance was asked to look into the financial liability of the government if the old pension is implemented. But the cabinet ministers were informed that in implementing the old pension scheme would invite similar requests from the employees of other departments. It would cost exchequer crores of rupees. Hence, we extend the new pension to the employees of NVS. The employees who joined the service before 1st January 2004 may either opt for new pension scheme or continue to avail the benefits of CPF.
Question number 205, Rakshita Maniraj.
आबादी बढ़ती है तो सब चाहते हैं कि बाबू बने। Honorable Speaker, Madam, in 2014 election manifesto, ruling party gave the slogan of creating employment opportunities for all, especially for youth. Till now, 10 years passed away. Many public sector companies are closed. In the total employment of central government job figures, 39.62 lakhs. As many as 9.64 lakhs vacancies are there in central government at present. A. In view of the prevailing educated unemployment in India, what steps are taken to fill these vacancies? B. Why is there a gap between educated youth and employment opportunities as mentioned in Rajya Sabha 2023 statistics on employment? C. Why is government neglecting certain core sectors like education also? For example of 12,000 vacancies in Navodaya Vidyalayas, approximately 4,000 vacancies are vacant which are not filled for 3 years.
Minister for Home and Personal, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, we admit that there is a growing unemployment in India, but there is a gap between skills required for industry, science, school and college education. That is why we included skills as main focus in the school education also in NCF 2020. Even in the government also, we need people with multiple skills. As we are in the age of technology, far-sweeping changes are also there in the roles played by the employees in every department. No more babus in the government departments. We need people who also can handle multiple roles at a time. Far-sweeping changes are also taking place in the school education also. We need to provide our children with teachers of tomorrow. We are also restructuring the recruitment system with changing needs. So some gaps will come. But this year, we assure you that there will be mass recruitment in every sector.
Question number 206, Sai Charnita.
से हमें ऊपर पहुंचा देती है। Honorable Speaker, Madam, through you, I would like to draw the attention of Honorable Minister for Railways on the exploitation of railway passengers in the name of Premium Tatkal. We would like the Honorable Minister to answer. A. Why the Railway Ministry is not increasing the number of passenger bogies for the trains instead of looting the passengers. B. Tatkal charges are very high. Why the Railway Ministry is not thinking of increasing the Tatkal quota and winding the Premium Tatkal quota. C. What steps have been taken by the Ministry to control the booking agencies who are manipulating the IRCTC website and reaping huge profits?
Honorable Minister for Railways, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, the Indian Railways are still the cheapest mode of conveyance in our country. The ticket prices are still cheaper when they are compared with passenger fares in other countries. The Honorable Member knows that our government has introduced many welfare measures for the benefit of passengers and employees. Safety of the passengers is our prime concern.
Supplementary question, Sudiksha.
रक्षा बहुत ही कीमती चीज हो गई है। हजारों का टिकट खरीदो और सीधा यमपुरी पहुंचो। Honorable Speaker Madam, the number of train accidents have increased in the last 3 years and also deaths. In fact, the number of deaths have gone up steeply. The minister seems to have forgotten that the recent Coromandel Express collision with stationary goods train last year. Over 294 lives were lost and 1200 were severely injured. The government has not taken any action to prevent such accidents in future.
Minister for Railways, please.
Arise, awake and see what's going on. जो भारत बैलगाड़ी में चलती थी अभी वंदे भारत तक पहुंची है. Is it not development? Honorable Speaker, I request Honorable Member not to make baseless allegations against the government. Our government has ensured the safety of passengers like never before. The inquiry conducted into the Coromandel Express collision with goods train revealed that the tragedy was only a human error. The government had nothing to do with it. The country knows how much importance our government has given to the renovation of platforms, construction of retiring and waiting rooms, toilet rooms, food courts, internet caves, ATM facilities, AC waiting halls for some classes of passengers, and so on. By streamlining the reservation system through IRCTC, we have stopped the exploitation of passengers. Now anybody can book a ticket sitting in his office or home. All these were unthinkable some time ago. The Railway Ministry should also look after the welfare of lakhs of employees who work under it. We have also introduced many welfare schemes to encourage them to serve the nation better. The Honorable Member should remember that we cannot extend amenities without marginally hiking the train fares. The Ministry has given permission to increase the bogies for all long distance trains. The Premium Tatkal scheme has been introduced to help the people who make last minute journeys. I accept that the Premium Tatkal charges are high, but government cannot help it as it is also concerned with the comforts provided to the passengers. I would like to remind the concerned member that we have introduced new trains, Vande Bharat, which are able to cover long distances in short time.
Question number 207, Naveen.
गाड़ी बहुत है तो ट्रैफिक जाम भी बड़ी होती है, समझना चाहिए. Honorable Speaker Madam, A. What steps have been taken to improve the transport facilities in urban areas, especially in metro cities and major cities? B. In many cities, traffic jams are common and the time of the people in these areas is taken away because of traffic jams. What steps have been introduced to control these traffic jams? C. What steps have been taken to improve the bus commutation for common man?
Minister for Transport, please.
Honorable Speaker Madam, A. We have introduced metro trains in major cities. Take the example of Delhi. It covers 384 kilometers, which covers 72.38 lakh commuters every day. B. We are constructing flyovers in major cities to avoid traffic jams. We are also giving funds to their constructions along with state governments as a part of infrastructure projects in many cities. C. We had already introduced electrical buses in many cities as a part of urban development transport schemes. This will reduce pollution and reduce diesel consumption and diesel dependence.
Question number 208, Tanvi.
अध्यक्ष महोदया, क्या संसदीय कार्य मंत्री यह बताने की कृपा करेंगे कि हम हमारे देश में इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वोटिंग मशीनों का उपयोग क्यों कर रहे हैं, जबकि इनकी विश्वसनीयता पर कई सवाल उठाए जा रहे हैं? क्या चुनावों में बैलेट पेपर प्रणाली को फिर से अपनाने का कोई प्रस्ताव है, जैसा कि आयरलैंड, जर्मनी, जापान और इंग्लैंड जैसे कई देशों में ईवीएम के उपयोग के बाद हुआ है? महोदया, डाले गए मतों और गिने गए मतों में अंतर होने की वजह से यह हमारी भारतीय लोकतांत्रिक कार्यपालिका पर एक संदेह का विषय है.
Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, please.
माननीय सदस्य बार बार ईवीएम पे सवाल उठा रहे हैं. ऐसा लगता है जैसे एग्जाम में फेल होने के बाद कोई ये कहे कि मेरा पेन ही खराब था. ऑनरेबल
Honorable Speaker, Madam, the opposition leaders are unnecessarily blaming the functioning of the constitutional body, which will function independently without the government intervention. It is they who decide everything, not the government about elections. We are supplying our EVMs to countries like South Africa and also for conduct of their elections. They can't be manipulated as thought by the opposition. B. There is no proposal at present to go back at the ballot paper system. If some countries choose, it is their individual decision. C. Coming back to the conduct of elections, there is a negligible difference between votes polled and counted. This happens because of the wrong entry of data in polling station 17C. Many polling stations have more than 700 to 800 votes only. To solve this, Election Commission came up with a proposal to keep maximum of 400 to 500 votes only in every polling station hereafter.
Breach of privilege. Honorable Speaker, Madam, a serious breach of privilege has been committed by the leading newspaper of Delhi while commenting on the recommendations of the Parliamentary Standing Committee appointed to study the setting up of foreign universities. The paper attributed dishonest motives. So I request you to allow me to raise a question on that matter now.
Mr. Gyanakant, have you given notice of it earlier? You must give notice along with a copy of newspaper clipping and it shall be considered. I don't like to be surprised like this.
I have already given a notice of it at 11 am today.
Then it will be examined when it comes to me and I shall consider it and let you know my decision. Now papers to be laid on table. Honorable Minister for Education.
Honorable Madam, I beg to lay on the table. A. Review by the government on the working of the NCERT for the year 2024-25. B. Annual report of National Council of Educational Research and Training for the year 2024-25 along with audited accounts.
Honorable Minister for Commerce.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I beg to lay on the table. A. Review by the government on the working of BHEL, New Delhi for the year 2024-25. B. Annual report of Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, New Delhi for the year 2024-25 along with audited accounts.
Welcome to the Egyptian Parliamentary Delegation. Honorable members, I have to make an announcement on my own behalf and the honorable members of the House. I have a great pleasure in extending our warm welcome to His Excellency Sai Prasad, Speaker of Egypt Parliament. Honorable members of Egyptian Parliamentary Delegation who are on a visit to India as our honored guests. The other honorable members are Shravan Shah, Deputy Speaker, Lavpreet, Deputy Speaker, it is a very high-powered delegation. The delegation arrived on 20th August 2025. They are now seated in special box. We wish them a happy and fruitful stay in our country. We also convey our warm greetings and very best wishes through them to His Excellency, the President of Egypt, the Egyptian Parliamentary Government and friendly people of Egypt. Now, let us take up the calling attention motion. Navdeep, please call the attention for the Minister for Agriculture.
I beg to call the attention of the Minister for Agriculture on the rising number of farmers suicide because of spurious seeds, fertilizers and pesticides and falling prices of their produce and action taken by the government in this regard.
Minister for Agriculture.
जय जवान जय किसान। नारा भूलने वाला भारत में रह ही नहीं सकता। किसान हमारा जान है। We do agree that a lot of farmer suicides from various states are reported, and we appreciate the concern of respected member to bring the issue of farmer suicide to the notice of government. But the opposition cannot blame the government entirely for the suicide of farmers. Our government is giving clear-cut instructions through proper agencies regarding the suitable crops to be grown as per the soil and climatic conditions of the region. The farmers are educated about the demand-supply condition for each crop. For example, there was a global decline in the production of sugarcane crop. You know that sugarcane crop is an important item for food processing industry. The farmers who raise This crop in the country last year made huge profits, but these are other farmers to conclude that if they grow sugarcane, they could get good profits. This resulted in surplus production of crop. Ultimately, farmers suffered huge losses. Like this, other issues such as marketing spurious seeds, pesticides and fertilizers.
Honorable Member Shanmay.
I thank the chair for permitting discussion on the rights of farmers. Every day we come across news of farmers committing suicide in some state or the other. Some stories are pathetic. They clearly show the cold attitude of government towards farmers. The anti-farmer policies are responsible for the rising number of farmer suicides. The government has liberalized its policies to give a red carpet welcome to the multinational companies. At the same time, it is cutting down the subsidies provided to the farmers year after year. I would like to know from the Honorable Minister for Agriculture the efforts initiated by the government to encourage farmers and curtail their suicides.
Shubhankar.
Monthly pointed out that the government's indifference is contributing to the farmers' suicides. In Nalgonda, Karimnagar and Warangal districts of Telangana, alone 20 farmers committed suicides. Spurious seeds purchased by them caused the loss of investment. The farmers could not repay the loans and could not manage fresh loans and committed suicide. I would like to know what the government is doing to stop the sale of spurious seeds.
Honorable Member Kashish.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, कृषि के क्षेत्र में गैर कानूनी काम करने वाली कंपनियों को सरकार कैसे नियंत्रित करेगी? कुकुरमुत्ते की तरह बढ़ते हुई कंपनियों की संख्या बताती है कि सरकार को उन कंपनियों पर किसी भी तरह का नियंत्रण नहीं है। इन कंपनियों के दलाल विक्रेता लोगों को अधिक मात्रा में रुपए देकर उन्हें प्रभावित कर रहे हैं। लालची दलाल किसानों को धोखा दे रहे हैं, लेकिन बेचारे किसान खुदकुशी कर रहे हैं। बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां मुनाफा पा रही है। मैं सरकार से जानना चाहती हूँ कि सरकार किन लोगों का समर्थन कर रही है, किसानों का अथवा कंपनियों का?
Honorable Member Vaishnavi.
ये हेल्पलाइन शुरू की है और हेल्पलाइन कहती है कि आपकी समस्याएं हमारे लिए महत्वपूर्ण है, कृपया लाइन पर बने रहे, जल सूख जाता है। किसानों के समस्याओं तो देश के समस्याएं। किसानों के आत्महत्या का एक प्रमुख कारण कर्ज में डूबना है। यह किसान स्थानीय महाजनों से कर्ज लेने के लिए संपर्क करते हैं क्योंकि बैंक प्रणाली बहुत ही कठिन है। अतः आदरणीय महोदय, मैं यह विनम्र अनुरोध करती हूँ कि भारतीय रिजर्व बैंक RBI सभी बैंकों को ऐसे दिशा निर्देश जारी करने का आदेश दे ताकि किसानों की कर्ज व्यवस्था सरल हो सके। और हमें यह याद रखना चाहिए कि भोजन खिलाने वाले हाथों को हर कीमत पर सुरक्षा प्रदान की जाए एवं किसानों के समस्याओं को देश की समस्याएं मानना चाहिए।
Honorable Member Bindu.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, the ruling party has won elections making false promises to the farmers. It has completely failed to fulfill its promises. The shameful thing is that we read reports of suicides from State of Agriculture Minister only the other day. The Honorable Minister's assurance have done little to mitigate the sufferings of farmers. Her party has promised to put an end to suicides of farmers within 1 year of its coming to power. The Honorable Minister for Agriculture seems to be too busy with her party affairs. It is high time that she gives time to the plight of the poor farmers.
Honorable Member Naga Chaitanya.
इतनी लालची है, ज़रूरत से ज़्यादा अमीरों को लोन देती है। सरकार इतनी लालची है, ज़रूरत से ज़्यादा अमीरों को लोन लेती है और किसानों को खाली हाथ दिखाती है। इसीलिए किसानों को सुसाइड करना पड़ता है। Honorable Speaker, Madam, we know that the farmers' issue is very much important. It is very clear that the government is not accepting its responsibility. What is the government doing when the spurious seeds are flooding the market? What steps are being taken by the government to provide loans to farmers to banks for the current financial year? The banks are in fact pressurizing the poor farmers to clear their old debts. Madam, the bank is ready to give loans to farmers if they do not pay their old loans. The dealers are black marketing seeds and fertilizers. Sometimes it has even become the law and order problem. What is this? Is it not the responsibility of the government? So I demand Honorable Minister to show immediate concern over this issue. Honorable Speaker, Madam, the farmers will teach a lesson to the ruling party in the next elections if it does not start proper actions.
Honorable Member Sahasra.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, our government is going all out to help the farmers. The honorable members have forgotten that farmer suicides also happened when the opposition party was in power. Everybody knows that they did nothing to encourage agriculture. That is why they are in the opposition benches. Our government has almost doubled the budget sanctioned to agriculture. We have also set up a committee to study ground reality and special problems faced by the farmers in the Vidarbha region of Maharashtra and few other states. Agriculture in our country depends upon favorable monsoons. Unfortunately, in the last 2 years, we have received less than average rainfall. Our government is encouraging farmers to adopt such crops that will grow and yield well in spite of average and less than average rainfall. I appeal to the honorable opposition members not to shed their eyes to the facts and level baseless allegations.
Minister for Agriculture.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I understand the concern of honorable members as regards to the control of spurious seeds, pesticides and fertilizers. Our government is strictly implementing the law forbidding their sale. Recently, we have opened the Kisan Call centers which is open to all the farmers round the clock on all days. We are educating the farmers to Doordarshan Prime Channel and All India Radio. We are strengthening the Central Vigilance Department to control the entry of spurious seeds and other products entering into the market. The honorable members should know that we have conducted a special meeting with RBI officials and the bankers in the last week of July. It was attended by the finance minister also. The banks have given clear-cut instructions in sanctioning of loan to the farmers. With the approval of Honorable Prime Minister, I would like to announce on the floor of the House that the government is waiving farm loans to the farmers in affected areas like Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh and Bihar. The guidelines are being prepared. We are also holding an all-party meeting under the chairmanship of our Honorable Prime Minister soon to invite more suggestions. We also appeal to all the state governments and the opposition members not to use the issue for political mileage. Our government is worried about the plight of farmers. We are also giving input subsidy for every farmer who is doing agriculture for every crop.
Bill to be introduced. Honorable Minister for Transport is requested to introduce the bill.
Madam, I beg to move to introduce Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill 2025 and the Indian Penal Code.
The question is that the leave be granted to introduce the bill to amend the Motor Vehicles Act 2025 and Indian Penal Code. Those are in favor, please say ayes. Ayes. Those are against it, please say no. No. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The leave is granted. Minister for Transport.
Madam, I introduce the bill.
Minister for Finance.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं ये प्रस्ताव रखना चाहती हूँ कि बीमा के क्षेत्र में विदेशी निवेश को 100% अनुमति दी जाए तथा इससे संबंधित मामलों के लिए प्रावधान करने वाले विधायक पर भी चर्चा की जाए। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, सदन इस बात से अवगत है कि बीमा एक सामाजिक सुरक्षा है जो कि अधिकांश लोगों तक नहीं पहुंच पाई है। आज भी 80% जनसंख्या तक बीमा की जानकारी नहीं है। गरीब लोगों को तो इसके लाभ की जानकारी बिल्कुल भी नहीं है। इस संदर्भ में मैं चाहूंगी कि 100% प्रत्यक्ष विदेशी निवेश बीमा के क्षेत्र में प्रदान की जाए ताकि भारत के करोड़ों लोगों को सामाजिक सुरक्षा मिल सके। इस संदर्भ में हमने जो कुछ ठोस निर्णय लिए हैं वो मैं सदन के सामने रखना चाहूंगी। प्रथम, सकल घरेलू उत्पादक जीडीपी के संबंध में 2025 में भारतीय अर्थव्यवस्था $3.94 ट्रिलियन पहुंचने की आशा है, लेकिन बीमा के क्षेत्र में यह केवल 3% ही है, जबकि विश्व का प्रतिशत 7 है। द्वितीय, व्यवहारिक आर्थिक अनुसंधान का राष्ट्रीय परिषद द्वारा अध्ययन किया गया, जिसके अनुसार भारत के 65% लोगों को बीमा की जानकारी तो है, लेकिन इसका लाभ केवल 48% लोग ही उठा पा रहे हैं। हमारे देश में 40 मिलियन लोग ऐसे हैं जो कि संगठित क्षेत्रों में काम करते हैं। वे जानते हैं उनके परिवार की सुरक्षा के लिए स्वास्थ्य, शिक्षा, सेवानिवृत्ति इत्यादियों में धन की बचत करनी चाहिए। दूसरी तरफ 43.99 करोड़ लोग असंगठित क्षेत्रों में काम करते हैं। वो अपने और अपने परिवार की सुरक्षा के लिए धन की बचत यानी बीमा की जानकारी नहीं रखते हैं। तृतीय, हमारे देश में 47% लोग ही चिकित्सा बीमा की प्रणाली करते हैं, जबकि हमारा देश 142 करोड़ की जनसंख्या वाला देश है, जिनमें से केवल 95 करोड़ लोग ही चिकित्सा बीमा के अंतर्गत आते हैं। चौथा, विश्व बैंक के अध्ययन के अनुसार प्रत्येक 100 भारतीयों में से केवल 30 भारतीय ही चिकित्सा बीमा के अंतर्गत आते हैं। यदि अधिक से अधिक लोग बीमा को अपनाएं तो गरीबों पर होने वाले चिकित्सा खर्चे को भी कम किया जा सकता है। पांचवा, 2023-24 में मात्र 43% लोगों को ही फसलों का बीमा किया, जिसमें उन्हें 31,139 करोड़ का प्रीमियम मिला। यदि और अधिक बीमा योजनाएं लागू की जाए तो लोगों को फसलों के संबंधित नुकसानों से भी बचाया जा सकता है। कृषि के उत्पाद में घटपट होने के कारण बीमा लेना और भी अनिवार्य हो जाता है, क्योंकि कृषि के क्षेत्र से सकल घरेलू उत्पादन को 60% सहयोग मिलता है। 12वीं पंचवर्षीय योजना के अभिलेख के अनुसार सभी के पास बचत का खाता होना चाहिए ताकि वो बैंकों से कर्जा ले सके। उसी प्रकार सभी के पास जीवन बीमा भी होना चाहिए। वित्तीय संकलन के डेरक राजन समिति 2007 तथा यूएनडीपी ने भी यही बात कही है। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, व्यवस्था तथा विकास के आंकड़ों को देखते हुए मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि सदन द्वारा बिल को स्वीकार किया जाए। मैं ये भी प्रस्ताव रखना चाहती हूँ कि प्रत्यक्ष विदेशी निवेश को बीमा के क्षेत्र में अनुमति दी जाए।
Honorable Member Sahiti.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I rise to support the bill. The bill safeguards agricultural production, manufacturing industries, health and life insurance of the individuals, small-scale units and employees. This helps them face risks and saves them in the event of loss. I think this bill is very essential for our country, so I strongly support this.
Honorable Member Akshay.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, the entry of private foreign companies in the insurance sector will force the public sector to improve their performance and efficiency. As we are allowing FDI in the insurance sector, public is benefiting a lot. Till recently, 15% of the total population has insurance coverage. Now, with the coming up of foreign insurance companies, more people are encouraged to seek insurance as premium rates have come down. This will improve the quality of public life. The welcome change is a good number of people are seeking health insurance. Many common people are now able to get corporate medical treatment thanks to insurance coverage. Hence, I fully support the bill.
Honorable Member Tejaswi.
That bill opens up for the privatization of public sector insurance companies. As there is no regulator to control these foreign investors, no labor law will be enforced on them. We have always opposed it as it is bad for the country. When huge amount of money is available to foreign insurance companies, the financial security of employees and middle class becomes uncertain. Their future and investment now depend on international market fluctuation. Now, instead of using this money for our country's development, you will be handing over this money to multinational corporations to make their profit. It makes neither economic sense nor common sense. Today, there is need to mobilize small savings of the people for investment in social and infrastructure sector. This can be efficiently done only by public sector insurance companies. Instead of increasing foreign equity, it is necessary to give more functional autonomy to public sector insurance industry to garner the savings of the people for the growth of the economy. Do we need more reasons to oppose the bill? FDI is against the common man and against our country. So I appeal to all opposition members as well as ruling party members to oppose this bill strongly.
Minister for Telecommunications, please.
कहावत ये था कि रात होते ही आंख बंद करते हैं, मगर आज इंटरनेट बंद होते ही आंख बंद करते हैं. Honorable Speaker, Madam, we have introduced 100% FDI in banking and telecom sector. This has enabled us to grow at par with international organizations. As more funds and capitals are provided, the big industries are able to expand their business. The same is the case with small and medium-scale industries and small manufacturers. This liberalization has enabled us to grow. This liberalization has strengthened our economy, production-wise and employment-wise. In the communication sector, we have done a wonderful job by promoting competition between national and international companies. Honorable Speaker, Madam, software industry is developing rapidly because
more companies are in competition. Besides, more companies are in competition. A few years ago, a very few people had a land phone connection. Now, there is hardly a family which does not have a mobile phone. People use mobiles not just for communication only. The people access internet for banking, trading, and do a lot of other things. In this sector, we are able to compete with many international firms of USA. Now, the same will be replicated in the insurance sector also.
Honorable Member Mahalakshmi. Honorable Speaker Madam, 100% FDI in insurance sector no doubt will be beneficial for our country. It is very important to get the bill passed. India has a population of over 140 crores, so it requires insurance more than any other nation. The insurance penetration in our country is around only 3% of our GDP, whereas it is far less than Japan, where 10% of population have insurance coverage. FDI will increase capital flow into our country. It also gives domestic competitors access to technology to renovate their marketing system and generate long-term funds that are critical for infrastructure development. If the bill is passed in the youth parliament, the pension funds will also be at the disposal of the government to provide social security. FDI is a consumer-friendly bill, so I am strongly supporting the bill.
Honorable Member Sindhu. Honorable Speaker Madam, LIC so far paid dividend of 13,320 crores for the Union Government, apart from giving rupees 18,02,226 crores for its 5-year plans. If foreign and private players enter the insurance sector, the public sector undertakings would not be able to make such contributions as their profits would automatically shrink. Is government bent on weakening the public sector insurance industry in the country? What for? Does it really believe that FDI will boost our economy? What about the welfare of employees? Does foreign investment affect the employees' right? The FDI is against the interest of our nation and the employees in insurance industries of public sector. Hence, I am opposing the bill. Honorable Leader of the Opposition, please.
हमारे देश का आर्थिक व्यवस्था को विदेशों के हाथ में गया तो फिर हमारे देश को 200 साल पहले की पुरानी जिंदगी जीनी पड़ेगी. Honorable Madam, the Honorable Finance Ministry is more liberal to the foreign companies than to the people of our country. We are fully against the 100% foreign direct investment in the insurance sector for valid reasons. Honorable Madam, we have allowed the private companies in the insurance sector from 1999 onwards, but the results of the companies speak that they have suffered huge losses. But during the same period, LIC has reaped profits in the insurance sector. The New York Times and the Wall Street Journal report that many foreign companies are indulging in dubious methods to show profits. The Economist, a leading magazine of the economic affairs of the companies, speaks that the financial stability of these companies is doubtful. The same is reported by Sigma, a leading Swiss journal on US and European companies. Honorable Madam, we are of the opinion that if we allow foreign companies to invest, we can reduce the burden on the consumers. But this is true in the short run, but in the long run, the charges will be very high. Honorable Madam, the Honorable Minister states that if we allow foreign companies, the individual savings will go to the insurance sector and thereby contribute to GDP. But RBI reports give completely different picture. One more reason given by the Honorable Minister is that if we allow 100% FDI in the insurance sector, the jobs will be, it will create more jobs. But the statistics says that the private companies are unable to create enough jobs as we expected. Hence, I oppose the bill. The ruling party is more worried about generating funds for the next elections by throwing a red carpet welcome to the foreign companies. It is least bothered about the common people and the insurance employees. The foreign financial companies are now allowed to loot the hard-earned money of our brothers. So, my party opposes the bill.
and appeal to all other parties to oppose the bill and demands the ruling party to withdraw the bill in the best interest of our nation.
Minister for Finance.
We cannot avoid everything. It's just because of विदेशी. देश में सिर्फ 2 अक्षर होते हैं जबकि विदेश में 3. देश से ज्यादा अक्षर विदेश में होते हैं. अधिकांश अधिका फलम. विदेश और विदेश मिलकर स्वदेश बन जाता है. माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संधि के अंग के रूप में विश्व व्यापार संघ W2 में अर्थ जगत के क्षेत्र में भी प्रत्यक्ष विदेशी निवेश FDI की अनुमति देनी है. 2020 में अमेरिका की बीमा कंपनियों को $10 अरब रुपए संपत्ति के रूप में मिले. विभिन्न योजनाओं के लिए उन रुपयों का कंपनियों ने निवेश कर दिया. इसी बीमा कंपनियों ने उपभोक्ताओं के रुपयों का पुनः भुगतान भी किया. इन कंपनियों के द्वारा राष्ट्र के निर्माण में भी धन का संकलन किया गया है. यदि इन बीमा कंपनियों को भारतीय अर्थव्यवस्था में स्थान दिया जाए तो हम हमारे उपभोक्ताओं को अच्छी रकम लाभ के रूप में भी दे सकते हैं. इन रुपयों से स्वास्थ्य और गृह निर्माण के क्षेत्र में भी प्रगति की जा सकती है. 12वीं पंचवर्षीय योजना में सड़क निर्माण, विद्युत उत्पादन, बांध निर्माण, विज्ञान और तकनीकी विकास, चिकित्सा की सुविधा, शैक्षणिक संस्थानों का आधुनिकीकरण, प्रत्यक्ष विदेशी निवेश FDI के माध्यम से धन संकलन पर चर्चा भी की गई है. इसके कारण बहुत सी कंपनियां भारत में पूंजी निवेश करना चाहती है. इससे भारतीय उपभोक्ताओं को सामाजिक सुरक्षा भी मिलेगी. माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, माननीय सदस्यों को संदेह है कि बीमा कंपनियों पर नियंत्रण कैसे करें. इनके संदेह को दूर करने के लिए बीमा कंपनियों पर एक नियंत्रण व्यवस्था रखी गई है जिसका नाम है IRDAI. उन संस्था पर, कंपनियों पर तथा उनके अर्थव्यवस्था पर नियंत्रण रखेगी. इन कंपनियों को अपनी पूंजी भारत में ही निवेश करनी होगी. मुझे आशा है कि मैंने सदस्यों के अधिकांश मुद्दों का उत्तर दे दिया है. आपके समर्थन के लिए भी मैं धन्यवाद देती हूँ तथा इस अधिनियम को लागू करवाने में मैं आपका सहयोग चाहती हूँ. मैं सदन में इस विधेयक को पास करवाने का निवेदन करती हूँ. अध्यक्ष महोदय, प्रश्न है कि मैं आपसे अनुरोध करती हूँ कि 100% प्रत्यक्ष विदेशी निवेश FDI को बीमा कंपनियों में निवेश करने के लिए रखे गए बिल पर भी विचार किया जाए.
The question is that the bill to allow 100% direct investment by foreign companies in the insurance sector and necessary changes related to that be taken into consideration. Those who are in favor, please say ayes. Aye. Those who are against it, please say no. No. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Clause by clause consideration. Now the question is that clause 4 to 10 stand part of the bill. There is one amendment in clause 4 by Bhavya. Are you moving it?
No, Honorable Madam. In view of the reply given by the Minister, I am not pressing my amendment.
Now the question is clause 4 to 10 stand part of the bill. Those who are in favor, please say ayes. Aye. Those who are against it, please say no. No. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Clause 4 to 10 stand part of the bill. Now the question is that the clause 1 and enacting formula and the title stand part of the bill. Those who are in favor, please say ayes. Aye. Those who are against it, please say no. No. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Minister for Finance.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं ये प्रस्ताव आपके समक्ष रखती हूँ कि इस विधेयक को पारित किया जाए.
Motion moved that the bill is passed. Those who are in favor, please say ayes. Aye. Those who are against it, please say no. No. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House is adjourned for tomorrow.